Hey everybody, we'll fire it off an invite to Bobby, and we'll get going.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get.
Your birthday's on Christmas Eve. I figured we don't get that many presents. But we should have my clock from the heart.
1 sec. All right.
Have a good one, guys. I love you.
Oh, my phone is dead, so I can't text him. But hopefully he sees it, and we are ready to go.
Who's here?
I gotta mute this. Oh, there he is. What's going on, Bobby?
What's up? Happy 2-2-2-2 to everybody.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna play.
All right, there we go.
I think I'm gonna play.
There you go. All right, so my camera, for some reason, the web camera thing is not. I spent like the last 10 minutes before the show trying to get it set up right, so I'm going to be looking sideways a lot. But thank you very much, Nicholas, for the compliment. Good to see you in here.
How did our video do? How did our video do with the faces, Bobby?
The faces were fine until we started showing the screen.
Oh,
I'll figure it out. It's just a matter of time. Tomorrow will be a little bit of a lighter day because I was going through a bunch of stuff today between this and golf and then some other practical stuff. But
yeah, for those of you that didn't hear, Daniel Berger is out.
Yep. So we don't like him is the big takeaway.
I would not play Daniel Berger.
So the snowpocalypse in the Midwest, according to Brian Brooks. Yikes! I hope that your internet holds up and everything else is all good. Yeah, we did mention no Daniel Berger. Tim, thank you for that. The thing is, I'm gonna do my normal 6:30 thing. Sheets, I think that based on some people's responses, I think maybe if we can, maybe doing this from at 5:45 might be a little bit the way to go in the future, if that's okay with you. And we'll talk it over some other time. But
well, it doesn't matter to me. Well, actually, it might matter to me, but
well, it matters to you. Then we don't want to do it.
No, what I'm saying is keep in mind that usually that's right about the time that the injury report comes out, like between 5:30 and 5:45.
Well, that's it's 6. I mean, it depends on when the games are, but to me it happens most often while we're literally just coming on air. It feels like.
All right. Yeah. Let me just see how that plays off with the boss, and we'll.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be decided. So you're thinking about playing on FanDuel. We'll talk a little FanDuel. We'll talk a little DK. So I actually think that the sites for the most part are fairly similar. The thing that I can't get away from is that I do want to play some of these early guys in these early games, but I don't know how we're supposed to just deal with like a questionable Halliburton as if that's nothing. It's a back-to-back. It's the COVID era. There's just something that's going to happen in those late games, and they're also huge totals. That it's really hard for me to try to build a lineup that I love that includes what I want from the early games and the later games, just from a pricing standpoint, even. So, what are you doing in terms of that? And
why don't you catch me up because I have no idea what you're talking about. So who's questionable now?
The same guys we talked about earlier.
I didn't know Halliburton was questionable.
No, fuck. Well, Halliburton becomes in play.
Well, you said Halliburton being questionable now. Okay,
I'm sorry. That's what. Okay. Yeah, just it's a misphrase.
Okay. So Fox questionable. Jokic, is he legit questionable?
I think he'll play, but I mean the weird part is nobody's playing him right now, and
who's do you think's going to start for Utah?
I think that I would guess that they'll start Azubuike. They did it against teams that didn't even go big. And they did start him, so
I have minutes projection of 22 minutes for Pascal and 20 minutes for Igubuki.
Yeah, I think that's probably close-ish. That makes some sense, but Pascal's not really. I mean, he's like a small forward, and having him guard Jokic is not going to be easy. So
Rudy Gay's not getting any projection here for minutes.
He doesn't really play many minutes, no matter what. Even in the games where they rested everybody, he was playing like 24 to 28. I think 28 was his high. But that was when that was when Bogdanovich, Clarkson, and Conley out and Royce O'Neal. They literally had played with an entirely different team than they've had all season in those spots. I mean,
so let me throw. All right, let's do it.
Utah being a 3.5 point underdog could make you worry about Jokic legitimately. Like that's a weird. I mean, Denver, because they are missing and Gordon is questionable too. Aaron Gordon, as is Cousins. Which if Jokic didn't play, obviously you'd want to play Cousins if he was playing. So there's a lot in those later games. And then it's a back-to-back for Brooklyn, and we don't know how they're going to handle the situation. We haven't seen it yet. We expect Harden to play. He said he was going to play, but we haven't seen that yet. Nothing really big seemingly in the Laker game. I mean, I guess Anthony Davis is eternally questionable for every game, but that's still some pretty big news. And then OKC Dallas, I think it's pretty clean, but I like all the later games. The problem is just there's some pieces in the early games that I really want exposure to.
So let's talk about the Cleveland guys then.
Okay, so let's do that. I mean, look, we need the starting lineup for everything to make perfect sense for us because I think it's hard sort of speculating. One thing I'm definitely not. I'm definitely going to be playing Spencer Dinwiddie. These ownership projections are not going to be correct in high buy-ins. People are too smart for that. There's no way he's going off at like 15 to 20%. He should be like 35, 40% in those. I'm not 100% sure that he will be, but I think he should.
Do you know what I have him in DraftKings?
Sure.
I have him at 12%.
Yeah, I don't know if people are crazy or what's going on. Are they counting on this team?
Because they're going to jam Osman for openers.
Osman's a small forward eligibility.
He's small shooting guard too.
And nobody wants to put him at anything. Just if you're playing, put Osman as your small forward because
you think people are going to play. Well, the top point per dollar play I have on the slate right now is Brandon Goodwin.
Yeah, that's definitely not something that I think that you need to commit yourself to, but people are welcome to give it a shot. Don't forget
I see Rondo at 3,200. I'm trying to think of guys that could take Dinwiddie ownership away. I'm trying to play a devil's advocate here. So I agree with you. I think they're going to play him.
You don't think Goodwin is going to be like similarly owned to Osman?
No.
What do you have Goodwin at right now?
Like 15?
I'm at 34. I think it's a bad projection personally.
But I think honestly, I think that people are going to do what you're saying. I think they're going to play more Dinwiddie than Goodwin.
Yeah, probably. I mean, anyone.
I think it's going to be more like a Dinwiddie Osman,
Yeah, that's what it should be, in my opinion. So then in that case, I think they'd be doing it right. Yeah. If you want pivots off of Osman, I do think Rondo and Goodwin are both the pivots. Everybody's going to say the same thing about Rondo, right? They're going to say, well, wait a minute, but last time we had this with Garland out and he'd only played 18 minutes. That was a back-to-back for a guy who's a million years old. Now they've had a couple days off. It's not the same situation. There's no reason why Goodwin necessarily would play more minutes than Rondo. I also think Lamar Stevens is basically the same play as Goodwin. I don't really see them as being a ton different. It's just that Goodwin got minutes. But even the last game, he barely played more minutes than Stevens. Seth Curry was just announced out, which I don't think is going to move the needle at all, except for making a little bit better of a play out of Embiid, but he was already a good play anyway. I'm just making sure that they'll start Danny Green probably. Yeah, they've got a lot of guys they could use, I guess.
Yeah, Goodwin's got to be higher.
I just think I think he'll be higher owned. I don't think it's necessarily a good play. And you have time to see how that starting lineup shakes out because all of this changes if Osman's not in the starting lineup. Now, then he becomes a terrific tournament play. But Osman's projection has come down quite a bit from where I'm looking. And the difference between even Rondo and Stevens and Goodwin's projection is only a few points on each. And there is literally no reason why it wouldn't be Lamar Stevens or Rajon Rondo just as likely as Brandon Goodwin. So I will just start off by saying I will have a tiny bit of exposure to Goodwin because I want pieces of all these guys because they need ball handlers. But definitely Goodwin will be my lowest owned of the Osman, Rondo, Goodwin. And Stevens would actually be right near him personally. And Okoro would be ahead of him. So that's where I'm at on that specific play. That game doesn't start till 8 Eastern, so you have a little bit of time on that. The guys in the early games, like I mentioned, Dinwiddie, I really like a Dinwiddie, Kuzma, Embiid, like little mini game stack. But I don't know if I'm actually, I don't know if it's the most logical thing to do when we have all this late news. But I like that little game stack because if they're going to stay close, that's going to be how they do it. It's one of the, I mean, we saw Kuzma last night go nuts. And I like, Philly's a good team. It is a back-to-back traveling for Washington. But Washington, it's not like, I mean, they have depth of guys who actually play for them regularly. I know they're missing bodies, but like Rui used to play all the time. I was sort of surprised that he wasn't announced out today on the back-to-back. Harrell, Gafford. Gafford is another one that's I predicted earlier as like his projection is going to jump up a little bit. Now everyone's going to play him and sort of forget about Harrell. And I would just encourage people not to do that. I will have exposure to Gafford on DraftKings, but I will have just as much exposure probably to Harrell.
Yeah. Harrell plays that role rather well coming off the bench.
Yeah, and you get less Embiid running into it. If maybe Gafford gets in foul trouble, and that helps, Harrell even more. It's like they want Gafford on the court the whole time. But Harrell did play 27 minutes last night. Gafford played 5. He's obviously more expensive. But I actually like Harrell just as much as I like Gafford, although I do like both of them. And even what you said earlier crept into my mind, but I just think it's just the wrong way to play tournaments, and I can't get away from it.
You mean just taking the 48 minutes at 7,500?
Especially on this when they're both centers, and they're not going to play they're never going to play them at the same time.
Well, but that's my whole point. I mean, like if you're going to get a full 48 though.
So they would need to score like 60 fantasy points combined for me to like that play.
You don't think that they average 1.2? I guess maybe they don't.
No.
Okay.
Especially against Embiid. But even if they did, even then, I'd still not love it because you're wasting a utility spot. Now, if you're getting, if I know I'm getting 60 and it's 30 each, then I would do it. But anything else, I probably wouldn't do. Like if Harrell was going to get 25, I don't want to play him. If Gafford was going to get 20, I don't want to play him. But or their current projections, they're combined for 48. You're using up a spot when you only have 8.
Yeah.
So you're wasting a spot and a chance at a real ceiling because it's really hard. And it's happened with those two before this year where they've hit like near ceiling games. But we have enough games on this slate to go elsewhere. And also it's using at both center spots where I like Jokic and Embiid. So it's kind of hard. And I like Anthony Davis a little bit too.
What are you doing with Isaiah Jackson?
Isaiah Jackson I love. But I just want to warn everybody that comes with a large high variance play. He can get in foul trouble, and now it matters because it didn't matter when he was 4,100, when he's 5,400. It can definitely make a difference. But I don't care. I still really like Jackson, especially against a big team. Brissett's gone. I actually like Jackson on FanDuel as well, where I expect him to be a little bit lower owned because he's a little bit more expensive. So I like Jackson from the early games. I like. I'm not playing any of the Magic, but I just there's just too much later stuff for me to get into. I think that Carter may end up in a lineup of mine, I guess. So, and I don't mind any of them, but that's not what I'm doing. So for the other early games that I mentioned Dinwiddie, Kuzma, Harrell, and Gafford, and what we're doing there. I'm not playing anybody else from that side. Only Embiid for me for Philadelphia. Although Tyrese Maxey is coming on strong. I don't think it's the right time to play him though at 7,500. Charlotte, I'm not playing anybody as the other early game except for Terry Rozier. I'm gonna force in some Terry Rozier revenge big games here. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. But I like Jaylen Brown a ton on the other side and Marcus Smart. That's how I would run it back. And then Memphis and New York. Always an upside for Ja. It's just I don't want to play a pace down game at 10.5 when your team is healthy. Even if Steven Adams is out, like actually the best play might be Jaren Jackson Jr. if Adams is out on that side. And I will throw Julius Randle into a lineup because it's like one of those spots where like nobody is going to play him. And I keep ending up with like 9K in my other forward spot. And I was just going to play all the Jaylen Brown. Then I thought, it is the kind of a game. It's an up-paced game. It's good defenders, sure, but they don't quite match up size-wise with Randle, especially if Adams is out. So I might throw in Randle into a lineup or two. But mostly those are all the guys I'm playing from the early games. Then you get into the later stuff. How about you?
Yeah, I just ran another. I wanted to hopefully get a little more news here. but before I commit to anything, but just see something.
It feels like one of those nights where we're going to get later on. John Jenkins asked if I got smart and swapped my Mac for a PC. No, I swapped my Mac to the better Mac. But I also got my computer screens back and set up at home because I was waiting until after. Anyway, it's a lot of stuff I had.
What are you doing with any? You doing any Marquis Chris?
No. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually kind of think it's a interesting pivot off of the guys I was talking about. Marquis Chris has got upside. Like in general, I like the matchup. Maybe that's one thing you could do is play. You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll play him instead of Gafford in one of my lineups because he is a guy who can put up 30 fantasy points even in limited time. And they have the blowout risk, but it's not like there's any excuse for them to go big. They don't need to play these guys alongside each other. They don't even really need size at all. It could just be split between he, Powell, and then you also have Kleber mucking it up who can play center. So it's really hard to know if they're ever going to play two of those guys together for too long other than the starting lineup. And
how do you rate the spend ups today?
That's a really good question. On FanDuel, it's Jokic.
I'm looking at DraftKings right now.
Well, I'll jump back and forth. On DraftKings, I think it's Luka and Jokic, factoring ownership in for Jokic. Luka's going to be popular. I don't mind the idea of anybody who wants to play James Harden. That's a lower owned one, but I like him better on FanDuel. I think Luka makes a lot of sense, but I also fear, hey, that could be a blowout. It could cost you a ceiling. Like even if he has 60, that could be in 3 quarters. And if he's really going off, how is OKC staying in the game? And it's hard to find a run back on DK for him that makes a lot of sense. I do think Giddey is still a fine play on DK, but a very good play on FanDuel. So I guess I would rate those two ahead, and then I don't mind Embiid. Actually, Embiid now would probably be right there. The problem is he just starts a little earlier. And then I get into Jaylen Brown, who's a little bit not full spend up, but semi spend up. Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and all those guys.
I got one other. Well, two other value plays. One you talked about really, really quickly earlier, and one we didn't mention at all. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Josh Green maybe at 3K.
I threw him into a lineup, but it's mostly I'm using him as a placeholder until I can see what's happening in the later games.
And then the other one was Jeremy Lamb.
The thing is, it's probably fine. It feels like a bad play to me. It always feels nerve-wracking when a guy can get hot and get there for you. But I think Jeremy Lamb is going to be over-owned and is shooting reliant and does not need to get there by any means. I mean, his projection, for example, today is higher than he basically ever scores unless he goes like nuts from 3-point range or something. It's just a high variance play that's going to have ownership. So I'm trying to stay away from it personally.
And the one other thing, again, I want to circle back to the Clevelands. How much if it was going to lock now, how much of these Goodwins and Osmonds would you have, you think, and Rondos?
Probably I'd have on DraftKings. I probably would have at least one of those guys in a good portion of most of my lineups.
Okay. Would you play them together, like Goodwin and Osmond, for example?
No. Okay. I think you can do it, and it might end up in like 1 or 2 if I had maybe a little bit of a stack where I was playing Kevin Porter Jr. on the other side, something like that. I do think there is negative correlation, and I think you're looking for ceilings. And I really don't like these guys, except for Osmond. I'm just sort of playing the buy time card with those guys.
Yeah.
And Osmond is one thing that's very valuable. The reason why Jeremy Lamb's going to get so owned today is because that small forward spot is terrible. And he's being over projected. I don't know why he's projecting for 25 fantasy points today,
Which guy?
Jeremy Lamb.
I only have him. I got him at like 23 on, with adjusting for everything.
Yeah. But that small forward position sucks. So that's why some people are going to play Reggie Bullock and Josh Green. For me, those are placeholdering guys. Norman Powell's fine, but that's why I like Powell better than the other guys on Portland because, I like him also because he's always plays well coming back to LA, UCLA guy. And But I really like that small forward position. I mean, I like Duarte and I like Osman. I don't really like any other small forwards except for Jaylen Brown, which is a spend up. I mean, really, it's pretty ugly at small forward. Look at these guys. Eric, I mean, we may as well just play Eric Gordon and just hope he makes like 8 threes or something.
Yeah.
But I think Osman is the way to go. And with that forward eligibility, definitely hard to resist. I mean, his usage was fine the other night. What do you have? 12 assists, which is awesome. He just missed it. He was 3 for 16 from the floor. Like he could have put up 60, not 60. He could have put up like 45 or something, you know? And I do think that Osman has I think Osman is the only one of these guys, including Jeremy Lamb. And yes, he could have an outlier performance, but just follow Jeremy Lamb's game log. Like, when is he having this performance? And they've had less guys than they have today, even, and he can't get there. The other one who's interesting is Terry Taylor.
Who?
Terry Taylor for Indiana. I was actually going to ask you where you were projecting him because I've got him at I have him as being 20% owned tonight.
I don't even have him in my sheets. I don't think. Who is he?
He's the other. Maybe you want to update. Have you updated since Brissett was announced out?
I think so. I don't know.
He played 21 minutes in the last game, put up 28 fantasy points. He's the other big you can play, and Orlando plays too big. So
I have him projecting at 16 fantasy points, I guess.
Yeah, I got him at 22.
Okay, I got to look at that again, I guess.
Either way. But even still, I don't love that play. I would rather find the 1900 to get to Jackson. But the truth is, if Jackson gets in foul trouble, I wouldn't play those two together. But if Jackson gets in foul trouble, Taylor should play a ton of minutes because there's nobody. They don't have any other size. Torrey Craig is going to guard Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. Like, how's that going to work? So I'm guessing that Taylor's going to play a ton of minutes tonight, unless there's somebody called from the G League that we haven't heard about yet.
Let me see.
Look in chat and see if there's any questions and stuff going on. Sorry, guys.
So we have is Clarkson legit questionable?
Yep.
Okay.
It's another huge piece of news. Dinwiddie over Simons is a question mark. That's my decision on DK even with the 700.
Yeah, you have to. No,
I think it's like an astronomically better play, but it doesn't mean it's going to work out every time. And Simons has a great matchup, so they're both good plays, though. Dinwiddie's a much better play, but I mean, just put it this way: Dinwiddie's averaging, I believe, I'm not 100% on this, but I believe he's averaging roughly like 40 something fantasy points without Bradley Beal so far this season. It's some number like that. And yesterday was his worst performance without Bradley Beal, and he put up 29 fantasy points or 28 fantasy points. Anthony Simons with McCollum has put up over 40 once. I know he's 700 more. And that was against Houston, and the Lakers are bad, but they're not Houston. Anthony Simons could definitely get there, but I don't know what path. I mean, it's not like this is like Anthony Simons without everybody on their roster when he was putting up 50s and stuff. They have, like, Nurkic wasn't there. McCollum wasn't there. Norman Powell wasn't there. You know, Dennis Smith is still not there, but like it's a high variance play not high variance. It's a very cashy type play to me, the Simons thing. And I feel like Dinwiddie should be a cash game staple, and because he's not getting as much ownership, I think he's a phenomenal play. If Dinwiddie was going to be 40% today or 50% or 60%, I would be talking people off of them and say, hey, it's a back-to-back that get blown out. There's a lot of paths to this, but I'm not doing that. Favorite DK spend up as of now, and preference. I said that I'm literally splitting up Harrell and Gafford. I like both of them. I think that Harrell's going to be significantly lower owned because for some stupid reason, people assumed he was going to start, which that's just because they don't know basketball. And that's how most of the sites are. It's going to depend on foul trouble. I like Harrell a ton at what I'm expecting to be lower ownership than Gafford. And I think they're both good plays. So I don't really have a strong take between those two. If they were the same price, I would take Harrell. At the current prices, that's really close.
You like any
Yahoo?
This is kind of a totally random value play on FanDuel, but I'll just throw it out there. Kessler Edwards,
because he's minimum.
Yeah, I mean, not even. He's like 3,900.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you want a guy who never gets there.
No, I don't want a guy who never gets there. I don't want that.
I mean, so we've had this situation for how long now? And he's put up 17.
Jesus
16,
Christ.
16,
No, I don't want a guy who's not going to get there.
21, 16, 22. And some of those games were without Harden also. And some of those games without Kyrie also.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. For me, it's just very much not my kind of play.
Yeah.
Watch Harden or Kyrie get announced out, and he's going to end up putting up like 35 or something. I actually like Kessler Edwards as a real life player, but I mean, they've got a lot of guys they can split those minutes between on a back-to-back with Bembry and Johnson and Cam Thomas and Bruce Brown and Blake Griffin. Like, they've got a lot of bodies, even though none of them are. And also, they have a lot of bodies that they're all similar skill sets, skill levels.
You like
Go ahead.
You like Mobley at all?
Love him on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Really wish Jared Allen was power forward on both sides.
Power forward on FanDuel.
I know. It's just a little more than I could quite afford. I was close to getting there, but I don't know. I'm going to get out of here in just 1 minute, guys. So pop in anything else last second, and Sheets, if you have any other thoughts. Or
Yeah, I got another bad value play from that game. You like Nick Claxton on FanDuel at 4,100?
No. Okay. I don't know if he'll even play, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I don't want to if he's not going to play.
I mean, yeah, well, it is a back-to-back off of the little injury thing, and he missed games in between, and I just don't know. That was not a significant thing that happened there. One of these days, Claxton's going to like break a slate or something, and I don't want to look like an idiot, but I'm going to tell it like. With right now, you could use him as like a placeholder, but like then we're using a center spot for him instead of Harrell, and it does give you like you have to switch off to Blake Griffin or James Johnson. James Johnson's only power forward eligible. Day'Ron Sharp could be back in the mix if he's. I mean, it's a second. I don't know. It's blah blah. I would rather just play Rashawn Holmes.
You'd rather play Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes may be a better play than all these guys. I actually think that's the only issue I have with this Harrell thing is like we've had Harrell's in the same position he's been in all season long today. And everybody is all of a sudden on him. I might actually decide to get off of Harrell. Well, I guess people are getting off of him now that he's not starting. But initially he was projecting so great and all this stuff. And I'm like, but it's the same situation he's been in all year because Thomas Bryant hasn't played until the last few games. And then they just switched and put Gafford as the third one. And now they have the two, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just feels a little fishy.
You like LaMelo at all on FanDuel?
He's cheaper over there. I know that. Everything matchup wise and all that is not good for him. At that price, sure. I don't love it, but yeah, I have no problem with it at that price. I mean, it's okay.
You talked about Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah.
I don't like playing him either.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of the other usage, and he's actually really improved. And he plays oddly better like when Luka's in the lineup, which is they're like buddies. They're like they do everything together.
If I could
be out there for 5,000 minutes, you know what I mean? Like he'll play there as long as the game's close. He'll be on the court. Like it's just how you roll.
The Sacramento game's at 10, and I presume in I think the Lakers and Sacramento are both very late games, right?
Yeah, the Lakers are 10:30.
If I could change my mind on this, I could go to Rashad Holmes, and yeah, I could screw around there.
All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here and finish building my lineups. Hold on, that's a piece of news. 76ers, Maxey, Green, Thibault, Harris, and Embiid. Exactly what we expect. Nothing new. All right, good luck, everybody. Sheets, good luck. Have a good night, guys. And let's one of us win the 222, including Rhodey, you too. One of us. Good luck, everybody.
That sounds good. So I'm gonna hang out here. I just want to update my Yahoo lineups here. You guys see it all the way on the right side. Let me just check another thing out. Ooh, we got a sneaky little sweat, by the way. I just noticed it in the tennis. I think Adam Perry is in position to take down all the cheese, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna pull it up in a second. I'm actually gonna do that right now.
I think Adam Perry. I lost track, but I saw that he had a really, really good lineup in the lottery. I'm gonna pull this up. Hold on. I gotta pull this. Okay, let me. Yeah, this is this one. Okay, so this has got to be in the lead, right? I mean, he needs a win here, but I'm going to pull this up for a second. So this one, he's got 5 for 5, including a sort of low-owned guy, 20%, and he's got Echeverry left. So he's got 378 with Echeverry left. Let's see what else is going on in that tournament. So 378 with Echeverry left. Well, so first of all, he's got to get here. So he's got to beat 448. So first of all, he's got to make wow. So he's got to get 70 points, which is totally reasonable. And I think that's all he needs, right? If he gets 70, let's go down here. I think that's got to be it, right? No one's got to have a better lineup than that. This is, yeah, so he's tied with him. So these guys, him and Adam Perry and the Vicante 8 both have the same lineup. They have 378.85, and they need to get 448. So they need 70 points, which is basically a straight set win. So you get a straight set win out of Echeverry here, Echeverry. And I believe they would be good for $37.50 each. So that's something that we could sweat. Well, as I was saying, though, let me get my Yahoo lineups and build those. Let's see. Yay, Yahoo. Let's do, we're just going to rebuild these. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting, I guess, a little bit of that Terry Taylor guy, but not much.
Everything is there, and then you have the appointment starting.
The other thing I'd like to tell you guys, by the way, what's on in the background is definitely one of the great underappreciated movies. That would be The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Fully gets the Sheets recommendation. I finished watching Station 11. Totally different genre, to say the least. Thought that was very good. And obviously I finished Ozark. Okay. Yeah, so this Anthony Davis thing is, yeah, getting a decent amount of him. We'll get some questions here. Trent Forrest projecting? Yeah, exactly, whoever that is. You want me to rank the FanDuel spend ups? Sure. That would be Jokic and Embiid I have almost tied, and then Luka and Anthony Davis underneath. Yeah, Brian, it's good. You know, the second one might be a little thin, but everyone after that is great. I shouldn't even say that. Maybe you'll enjoy number 2 also. But yeah, it's real. It's yeah, the whole show is pretty trippy. Oh, dude, Money Heist, you kidding? Money Heist, but that's one of my favorites. That's like the ultimate in just low intellect, just freaking awesomeness. I love Money Heist. And not that it's the same, but You know what I finally got into? It wasn't on it when it was originally on, but I did Prison Break. Prison Break is freaking insane. Love Prison Break. I can't imagine having to watch Prison Break without being able to drop all of them at once. I mean, when Prison Break came out, it was you had to wait a week for the next one. Every freaking episode's a freaking cliffhanger. Freaking kidding me. Never would have been able to tolerate that. Yeah, this FanDuel thing is starting to give me the EBGBs here. I think I'm going to rebuild my big lineup here. I was getting Kessler Edwards, and I don't want to do that. Let's do it this way. Let's do yeah, but this person being a wallflower, I mean, I wish it wasn't called that because it probably doesn't get as much attention because of it. But man, back to Nicholas Claxton again. They really want me to play one of these guys. Or I can go back to this thing, play Me Too. They really want me to play the Nicholas Claxton. I might have to swap that later. Let me play a lot of Nicholas Claxton, actually. Dang. What's this Nick? Oh, I know what's going on with the Nick Claxton. Okay. I suck. Let me see. Let me rank Nick Claxton this way because I don't even have him here. I don't think. Okay. All right. This is what we're gonna do. I don't want to play Nick Claxton. What would happen if I did not play Nick Claxton? We're not going to play Nick Claxton. We're not going to play Edwards. We're just going to do this. Now I want to see what these look like without Nick Claxton and Kessler Edwards. These guys are really ruining my lineups. Why do I get back to the Me Too? Why do they keep wanting me to play this guy? Suggs. Oh, this could be this could actually be the answer. Suggs, Brunson, Giddy, Mobley. What if I didn't play Me Too? Then what would happen? Would that be the end of the world? Then I get these guys. Yeah, I think this is a much better situation here. Okay. Okay. Change my FanDuel builds. We could be heroes for one day. Yeah, maybe this is the idea. Suggs this way. Still get Anthony Davis. Maybe this is the idea. Okay. Still can get Giddey. All right, that's good. We'll go back into my DraftKings builds. Now this all makes sense. I was getting too much Me Too and too much Kessler Edwards and too much Clarkson. I just X'd them out. I really hope Adam Perry takes that tennis thing down.
See how this goes. Yeah, see how it goes.
We'll redo the end, the DraftKings. All right, this looks good. Some good wins, some of this, some of that. All right, I like it. Some questions in a minute. Sorry about that. Clarkson, Simons, Jokic. Yeah, this got Lamb. I don't think I want that. So we're going to get Lamb out. The Goodwin is fine, but I just don't need to play Jeremy Lamb. A slate like this. Okay, this is better. One sec. This is like a ridiculous scene, by the way, in the movie. When Charlie breaks down, this is sick. This is just sick.
Killed it. How many did I Should I get my birthday present? So I guess I killed her, right? I'm trying to stop thinking that, but I can't. She keeps driving away.
Call the police and send them to my house.
Getting all kinds of Isaiah Jackson, by the way.
Charlie, listen to me. Mom and Dad are
This Indianapolis game. Okay, it's fine.
I wanted her to die, Candace.
Charlie? Charlie?
I think I did my hockeys. Did I forget to do my hockeys? Shoot. I think I did. Yeah, let me just do my hockeys now. I got 15 minutes. Dude, I can't watch this scene. This is so sick. I'll just let you guys know in case anybody cares who I have in hockey.
Charlie? I'm Dr. Burton. Where am I? Leaveview Hospital. You have to let me go once I can't afford it. Oh, don't worry about that. Oh, no. I saw them when I was little, and I don't want to be if you can't just tell me how to stop it. Stop what? See?
Let's see. Why next class? Yeah, I'm out of next class.
How do you stop seeing? Seeing what, Charlie? There is so much pain And I don't know how to not know shit.
What's hurting you?
No, not me. It's them. It's everyone. It never stops. Do you understand?
All right, so we're fixing the hockeys. I have, just in case anybody cares, I have Blackhawks and Capitals are my main.
What about her?
Do you see her?
Main stacks.
She had a terrible life.
You said some things about her in your sleep.
And then we're gonna come and upload these. Come back into FanDuel. Do the hockey over there. Yeah, so just so you guys know, I'm getting almost 100% Isaiah Jackson on DraftKings.
She was insane. She
Charlie, you gonna let me help you here?
Okay.
Do you remember anything before you blacked out?
All right, hockey.
Sam's house. I was in the hospital for a while.
I'll let you know what I have in the hockey. Again, this is in pure transparency. And I'm going to be putting up an MMA video either later tonight or tomorrow. And I'm also going to update the PGA projections within the next several hours because with what's his name out, it increases obviously the win equity of everybody else. So everybody's projection is going to go up. And also everybody's ownership is going to go up. So I hope to update that. Certainly by the time I go to sleep tonight. So I think midnight's a good deadline for that.
The best days were those when I could have visitors. My brother and sister always came for those until Chris had to go to
I
training.
had a lot of Edmonton on FanDuel for
He's
some
gonna be
reason.
first string this year.
Well, not for some reason. I just don't have as much of it on.
My sister told me she
DraftKings for
had a
some
nice
reason.
summer job.
Here it is. So, I see Thursday
All right.
at 6, right?
Take a couple last questions here and see what you guys
My
got for me.
doctor said
When it's classic nothing. Seth Curry out. Scary amount of Azubuike. I don't like it. I don't either.
the answers, but it was enough to
That's pretty much all I got for you guys. Okay, so as I said, I'm doing an MMA video probably at the end of tonight, maybe tomorrow morning at the latest. And then I'll get, depending on how big the tennis slate is, I'll put a tennis thing up. We're going to be rooting for Adam Perry, the rest of tonight's card, tennis card, and then we're going to look at all these questionables, you know. Malik Monk, he's probable, so that's fine. But you have Jokic. I mean, if he's like legit questionable, we have to obviously monitor that. Jordan Clarkson, questionable. And that game is at 10. When is the goal? When is the Denver game? Denver game is also at 10. So we have some time for that. That's good. So I could actually just go do something and just chill for a few minutes. Special treat they're giving me. Danny Green, no, I'm not getting any of that. No, not getting any Danny Green. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but that's I'm just not getting it.
First night we had.
All right. Good luck, everybody, and someone take down something.